That is a very brilliant idea, and what needs to be done is to basically link theatre with the tourism activities that happen in the country. Number one, there should be on what things to do in Nairobi. Theatre should be part of that, and then theatrical activities should be tailored in a way that they fit the tourism. They're integrated in the experiences of tourism. For example, we can have when people are having safaris, because most of the people come to the country to experience that. If we can enrich that experience of the safari with a theatrical activity or any other cultural performance, because that will give these people a lasting impression of the country and its product, because theatre and culture can really spice up or what tourists are coming to experience in the country. And number one, because everyone wants to go away with the culture of that specific place that they have visited, and therefore theatre is a tool of disseminating culture in various performances ranging from poetry all the way to dance, stage performances, and making sure that whatever they have come to experience, whether it's a conference, theatre is there. During the day they're having a conference, but at night they're bored. We need to involve that, and we need the government through the Ministry of Tourism and such state departments like the Brand Kenya and the Tourism Board needs to work with creatives in the theatre industry to form synergy, so that also there is that reliability that when people are brought to the theatre, they'll have something to watch and enjoy. Number two, in terms of making sure that spaces have performances throughout, so that this experience is reliable, so that when people are directed to the theatre, they'll come or through the other spaces, they'll come and experience a cultural performance, talking about Kenya and the values and what we stand for as a country.
Most spaces, they operate on a rental kind of principle. So most performances are ephemeral. So even if I invested, let's say, 6 months or 1 year into developing a production, I'm just going to come to a space, rent that space, pay for it, and be able to afford maybe 3 nights, run the show for 1 weekend or for 2 weeks, and that's it. Once I get out of that space, the space will just remain empty. It will just remain bare walls. So I think both government and private sector, number one, they should do more partnerships. Number two, I think we should open ourselves to the ideas of actually having residence groups and ensembles who invest spaces, in a sustainable way throughout time. It doesn't mean that they necessarily have to perform every day, but I always say, especially in the dance industry, performance is just the last 5%. All the work is in the preparation for the performance, So I think we should find ways of opening those spaces to artists at subventioned rates, at least, or even for free if the government can fund, or even look for sponsorships from the private sector, so that those spaces can be alive and something in them be happening continuously. It's only once they are proactive and continuously full of content that we can now start advertising them, and branding them and taking them out there to the public and to the audiences, whether it's international audiences or domestic. Something needs to, it has to be in my mind that there's something happening in that space, whether it's the National Theatre or whether it's the new Nairobi County, what we're saying, cinema. But I have to have somewhere in my mind that there is something already happening there before I can even develop the wish to go there. And I think that's the problem right now. Number one, I think one thing we often forget is that Nairobi is not Kenya. That's number one thing. Nairobi is a very specific context, especially when it comes to cultural and arts activities. And whatever we have the opportunity to see and experience in Nairobi does not apply to the rest of the country. So that's number one problem. Number two, Nairobi itself is very much segregated, depending on the social class and depending on your circle, depending on your area of expertise and so on, you will move in certain areas of Nairobi. And you will find that a lot of these art spaces, especially the private initiatives, NGOs and so on, therefore they only have access to a certain audience. It's only specific type of people which will come for those events. So I really believe, number one, we should do better when it comes to touring, taking the product outside of the conventional theater space, whether it's just, taking it also and presenting it in a social hall somewhere in Dandora, or whether it's actually taking it on tour across the country, so that it's not only Nairobi residents who have the experience of art. You should also be able to see that same performance somewhere, in deep there in Western Kenya, in a small village. So I think that's a big problem, because we cannot expect to have an audience if we do not give access to diverse types of audiences. Going to theater, or going for an art exhibition opening, or going to watch a contemporary dance piece, it's a thing of culture, it's a thing of habit, either you grow in it or you don't grow in it. Some of us, we grew up in arts families, so for us it was a thing from a very young age, but other people might not have the same type of upbringing. So I think the school should play also a major part, in giving kids the opportunity to see these kind of things, because sometimes there's people who have talent, but they don't know that they have that talent until they see someone else doing it, You can find that there's a child who is very talented maybe in music, but just because he doesn't have access to other people who are in that industry and who are doing that thing, he doesn't consider it as a viable option for his life, you see. And that's this constant discussion we have in the Kenyan society, that still, unfortunately, a lot of families believe that arts is not a profession that is really something worth investing your everything in. And that starts from an early age, as I'm saying, through schools, through even at home, parents who take their kids out to such, an outing doesn't necessarily have to be going to a mall, an outing shouldn't be just, eating pizza. It should also involve arts activities, so that progressively with generations, we're going to have a much, much stronger base for audiences for the arts.
The creative sector can work towards packaging their offering in a better way. Not saying that it's not good as it is now, but to be more attractive to a buyer. In any case, in whichever service or product you're buying, the thing that first attracts you to that product or service is the attractiveness of it. So the creative sector can package their material, can make it more palatable in cases where it's not, can structure it in a way that it's more identifiable, more understandable, and more relatable to those that they're looking to invest in it. I would say the marketing and communications aspect is very important for the creative sector to adapt. If they can communicate their offering better, then willing buyers will be there. And already as it is, there's an interest. It's just that small step in ensuring that, we get maximum attention for whatever it is the offering is. There are opportunities that exist in branding. Some of the best practice that I was mentioning that comes from private sector can actually be adopted by the creative sector to give the country a more clear and concise identity. Kenyans are proud, they know themselves, and sometimes probably, that confidence in who we are or what we offer may not really translate to the region or to the world at large. The creative sector can fill that gap, help use those nuances and create something that can be packaged for the world to see and identify as Kenyan. So there's a role for them to play.